Welcome to Trauma Recovery Out Loud, where we talk about where we've been, where we are, and where we're going in our trauma recovery journeys. Join us and get some insights and encouragement to keep going and keep growing. Let's go. And I'm trying to look at the camera and not at the screen. Camera, screen.
Screen. Camera,
Screen.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if I look at the screen, I just look like I'm looking down.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at the camera. It's just sitting on top of my screen. Yes. Hello. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Stephanie Dunham.
I'm Richelle Knapp.
And this is our last week without Evelyn Das Pfuffenheder.
Yes.
Yay. She came to class on Saturday and was putting a little bit of weight on her foot using crutches. So I think things are progressing in a good way. And
Yeah.
I'm excited. My camera is not quite right. There we go. Maybe I'm the crooked one.
Perhaps. But I think I should still get a webcam, though.
Yeah, I might need to get a better camera altogether.
Yeah. Agreed.
Time for some better equipment. Oh, I forgot my light. Uh-oh. Let's shed some light on this subject, shall we? There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I show up. Haha. I got makeup in my eyes. It's getting a little... Oh, there goes my phone. Letting me know my blood sugar is a little high from dinner. It was not supposed to ding. But it did anyway.
Sassy phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Please stand by.
Yes, I have a CGM now. I've gotten one. So I've been getting used to it. I've had it about 17 or 18 days. It's been interesting. Talk about as my therapist put it today, being held accountable. Kind of forced to. In a sense. So anyway. So we've been doing, Richelle and I have been doing a series on her daughter's perspective. We've been talking about our mother.
Yes.
We recap alert.
Uh-oh.
It's time for a recap. First week we talked about we just gave a timeline of sorts. And it feels like we've been doing this a lot longer than 4 weeks. We've been doing this without Evelyn for 6 weeks.
Right.
Including this week. But it feels like we've been talking about this a lot longer. It is really difficult to get through. But we gave a timeline of events. Second week we talked about living with her addiction. Third week, which was posted today, was about living in her under or inside of her chaos as it relates to whatever her mental health issues were that we don't have a diagnosis for.
Yeah.
We only have guesses.
Right.
And today we're going to wrap things up with, we could have been her.
Yeah.
I mean, to some extent we are. There's definitely correlation.
Agreed. Yeah.
But as far as like taking it all the way to where she took it, the abuse, the addiction, the unchecked mental health issues, we are not that person.
Right. Yeah, that's for sure.
So do you want to tell us how it's been going for you, Richelle? Because I know this has been hard for you.
A couple things have come up. One is I talked to my therapist today I actually talked to you about it briefly. I don't think the desire to prove our mother wrong is unhealthy, but I think the way I've been going about it is unhealthy because I've been trying to take on too much at once. Now that I'm in so to speak, in the work of things, trying to push myself to actually step into healing and be consistent. And there's been a couple of, I would call them milestone moments, like realizing that our mother can't hurt me anymore, and handling a couple of rather intense panic attacks while I was working, and realizing that it was just because of this. There's no need to compound the problem by panicking about the panic attacks. They just are what they are.
Right?
But the downside has been last week I felt kind of beat up inside. Like it just felt very oh, I'm already crying.
Oh,
It felt very like not defeated, that's not the right word, but I felt the heaviness, I think, of things.
yeah. It's hard not to.
Yeah, and like it just really, for no pun intended, but it kind of sunk in like this is my reality. This is where I was. This is what happened to me. I told my therapist also today, I said, I think coming to the place of accepting the reality of things, at least at this point for me, is one of the harder things to do because I spent so many years being numb,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm actually trying to actively overcome the numbness or
Right.
the ways that I was numbing myself out. Um, but yeah, that heaviness and the reality of things is really like intense. And I don't think that ending the series is going to lay any of that. I think it'll be little less intense, but I don't think it'll lay any of it to rest. I think it's going to be, could be the start of something, could be the start of the next phase of my healing. I don't know. I am overall grateful that we've done this because it has ignited a lot of things in me that needed to be brought to my attention in terms of like my own addictions, my own proclivity for things like numbing out, and seeing the aspects of our mother like we're about to talk about in myself, which is sobering but also good to see because it helps me realize I could have been her, but I'm not. By the same token, I still have things I need to deal with.
Right. Yeah. I am not as I guess you could say outwardly obvious
Mm-hmm.
of my struggle, but inwardly, yeah, it's been tough.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a lot of feelings. Although I told my therapist today that I feel like our conversation has kind of widened my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know more. I've put two and two together. Like
Yeah.
the amount of addiction and the scope of it was kind of unknown to me.
Right.
But now I feel like I get it more.
Same here. Same here. Yeah.
Um, and then of course talking through the whole mental health issue stuff last week was definitely, you know, more intense
Mm-hmm.
than I thought it was. Like it's just everything's just kind of opened up, and it will help me too in my own recovery because I haven't spent a whole lot of time on a lot of the issues related to our mother.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of mine are around identity.
Right.
She's trying to make me into the perfect daughter. That when you brought that up in one of the conversations we had, I had forgotten about that. I remembered to an extent that she was always trying to make me into something I wasn't, but I didn't remember she was trying to make me the quote unquote perfect daughter, whatever that meant.
Right.
And yeah, that's definitely having an effect
Mm-hmm.
on me. But yeah, so, there's a lot to having a trauma history.
Yeah.
It's not just how it manifests in things like addiction or behaviors. There's also the internal stuff, pain,
Mm-hmm.
confusion, all kinds of things. Like it's just
Yeah.
pervasive and ongoing. And, we do have some similarities because things do get passed on. How much it affects us is different than how it affected our mother. What she went through as a child and a teen.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the one major difference between us and her is that we want to heal.
Right.
We want to get better. That is one major difference. And even though we might have some similarities, it's only because of the way things happened.
Yeah.
It's
It's
not
circumstantial. It's not intent.
right. And that means that, things that she did that we might be doing also is different by degree.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I just wanted to talk about this whole idea of we could have been her. Like, what does that mean to you?
Very early on, I had moved, as an example of what we're talking about, I had moved out of our parents' house. I was 23 years old, and I knew how to manipulate. We were way smarter than our mother pretty early on. I think I was probably about 15 when I realized I was actually way smarter than her,
Mm-hmm.
and learned her ways pretty quickly, pretty easily.
Learned her ways,
In terms of
but
manipulation, how to
like
manipulate people.
how to manipulate.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was better at it than she was.
Okay.
And I would do it pretty regularly and was pretty cold about it
Hmm.
before I became a Christian and a little bit after. And I saw when I realized what I was doing as a young believer, and I saw myself heading down that path, it scared me enough to make me stop. And God actually woke me up out of a sleep, what you would consider a dead sleep, one night, getting my attention for what I was doing to someone that was not right by any means. And it's not to say that at that instant I was healed of this tendency, but at least I was aware of it. It was the first thing I became very self-aware of, like, this is not right. This is wrong what you're doing. You're hurting this person. They don't even know it. You're using them and then manipulating them. This is not right. So I did stop and repent of that at that point. But it took many, many years for me to understand that I wasn't actually her, our mother, even though I had done these things.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to kind of come to that conclusion not to ease my conscience in terms of what I was doing, but to see my own intent. Okay, I'm not intending now to hurt anybody in that way.
Right.
I care about people. I don't want to see them be used or manipulated in any sort of way.
Right.
And that's different from being 23 and doing that kind of openly, and then seeing yourself as your mother is kind of a sobering thought now, all these years later. But there were many instances where, like with addiction especially, that I felt like I was so much like her, and it was enough to get me to at least stop and think about what I was doing.
Yeah. So, what do we mean when we say we could have been her?
I would say probably if we hadn't chosen the path we chose, we could have easily gone down the same path she did and passed on our own trauma to the next generation, just like she did to us. It wouldn't have been any different in that sense. Does that answer your question? I'm not sure if it does.
No.
No, I'm trying, man.
Now I'm thinking more like what happened to us versus what happened to her. Now there's things we haven't exactly talked about. There's more to our story than just our mother was abusive or addicted or whatever. There's a lot more there.
Yeah.
That we haven't publicly really gotten into. But there are a lot of similarities between what she experienced and what we experienced. So the depth and level of the abuse Richelle and I suffered from very early age, like 3 and on, was about the same.
Yeah.
And I have a food addiction. Like I'm not hiding that. I am working on it. I have eating disorder.
Same here. Working on mine too.
I've been addicted to other things, not drugs or alcohol. but my addictions weren't any better than those things
Mm-hmm.
in terms of how destructive they are. I have managed to bring to an end 2 of the 3, the last one being the food.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but, you know, the reason why the addiction is there because I have pain.
Right.
The reason why I have so much anxiety is because of trauma. The reason why I suffer in lots of other ways is because of the abuse, like stuff that went on in other avenues.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Rochelle's talked about this before, where I think I have to some degree, where if you're growing up in an environment that's unpredictable, that's unsafe, like abusive, unsafe, where there's lots of different harmful, terrible things going on to you as a child,
Mm-hmm.
your brain develops within that environment in an abnormal way.
Right.
It creates a kind of disability where constantly being tripped up by ongoing intrusive thoughts, obsessive thoughts, anxiety, panic, depression, all kinds of things, propensities for behaving narcissistically,
Mm-hmm.
being controlling and manipulative and codependent. And there's just like a plethora of outcomes. And, maybe early on in our adulthoods, we may have been more like our mother
Right.
because we weren't exactly aware of what we were doing or why. But as time has worn on, and I think Rochelle and I both have the same kind of experience where we credit God for pulling
Mm-hmm.
us out of
Yeah.
a destructive path. And maybe that's the one major factor that makes us different. I don't know.
Could be.
But, we both credit God for pulling us out of a destructive path and into a different one. And we're still on it. I mean, I have not stopped what I'm doing. There's so many things that I have to work on all the time.
Yeah.
So when I say we could have been her, what I'm looking at is the source of what could have turned out to be exactly like her.
Right. It certainly had the propensity for it, given what we lived in for so long. And I do credit God with pulling me out. And I actually said to my therapist also today that no wonder God saved me when I was 21 because the path I was heading on was very destructive at that point.
Yeah.
I wasn't outwardly a bad kid. I was outwardly very moral, very good. I mean, I didn't show any signs. And I know a lot of people have trauma or outwardly very angry and want to start fights and things, but I wasn't that type of person. But inwardly, I was raging all the time and inwardly very destructive to myself, to other, and wanted to fight everybody. I didn't actually act on that, but that's how I felt a lot of the time and didn't care about people at all.
Why do we both have the desire to fight people?
Don't know. I don't have that desire anymore, but I did back then for sure.
I still kind of do.
I know. Anyways, yeah, so God definitely pulled me out. And I mentioned this, I think, in the last podcast or in one of the recent ones, that you and I did sit down and have a conversation about ending the cycle with us. I don't know if both of us were believers at that point. Maybe we were, because I was in my 20s at that point when we talked about it. But that really changed the course of things too, I think. I credit it with that as well. Credit that for this difference in our lives as well.
I kind of remember that conversation. I think that at that point, if it was in your early to mid 20s, it was my mid to late 20s.
Mm-hmm.
By that point, I was in a church going to the same one regularly. There was a lot of talk about overcoming. There's, nothing was short of miraculous healings was acceptable.
Right.
And so I was on a quest to quote unquote overcome my past.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we could have we probably did have that kind of conversation. Now it's not to say that the idea of a cycle ending with this generation is bad, just
Right.
because there was some harmful, you know, church things going on in my life that was, you know, I was telling you about.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because really a generation does have to decide, I'm done with this cycle for it to stop
Yeah.
within the family line. I mean, that just has to be true.
Yeah.
Um, and then once you've decided, then you have to go a different way. Like, you have to start doing things. How I parented both my boys was different. Um, you know, being sure that I didn't get addicted to drugs or alcohol was part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I was not much of a drinker, and I had zero interest in drugs. Like,
Yeah.
I had my food, so I was satisfied.
Right.
Um, but you know, so at some point, somebody in the family line has to be willing to say enough is enough.
Right.
And our mother wasn't that person.
Mm-mm.
It was you, it was me, maybe Marcia and Matthew. I don't know, maybe. Who knows
I
where
don't
they're
know.
at with things right
Yeah.
now? But it's definitely with you and I. And um, I'm thankful that we were able to be self-aware enough to make that decision, because that put us on a completely different path,
Yeah.
completely different trajectory. Although we probably feel very similar things to what our mother experienced in terms of dealing with pain, grief,
Mm-hmm.
you know, trauma. It doesn't seem to have quite the same hold.
Right. I think the perspective is, like you were saying earlier, is I think the one other part of this is the healing perspective, because she was never in that place of wanting to heal. So I think if she was a narcissist, that was dominant more than anything else, I think, and there was no remorse or desire to actually be real about what was happening to her.
Right.
Um and so for you and I, it's always been, now I've had a lot more struggle with not numbing out. I mean, with numbing out, and done that for a lot longer. Um, but I think like her just complete denial of how bad things actually were, and our willingness to submit ourselves to healing, whatever that means at this point, is a huge difference. Because
Yeah.
there was no empathy, no sympathy, no remorse, no nothing with her. Like, it was all just all manipulation and all for herself. And any kind of quote unquote love came with some sort of price tag.
Yeah.
And it just was like, could never trust anything she did or said, because we didn't know what was going to happen next.
Yeah. And I for sure have at times wanted to manipulate situations in my favor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
me
it's a
too.
very,
Absolutely.
I'm sure that's a very human thing to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I'm sure it doesn't take being traumatized to go there.
Right.
But at the same time, um, there was, because of God, there was a moral compass going, probably not a great idea.
Yeah.
In which case I'd have to be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do that. And it wasn't all at once. It was like over time, gradually.
Mm-hmm.
But had I been less morally inclined, or, you know, less interested in doing the right thing,
Mm-hmm.
it could very easily have just been someone, and I probably did at times. I can't remember specific instances, but I'm sure that I did that at times,
Yeah.
especially early on.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one thing I would do, and this is pretty common: water break. I need a drink. My voice is getting froggy.
Getting the frog again. Water break.
There were times where I would do that thing where people want something from someone but they don't want to ask.
Mm-hmm.
And so they make a remark that's meant to
Yes.
manipulate someone into offering you help.
Yeah.
I think I did that a lot in my 20s. I don't remember specifically our mother doing that necessarily, but the desire to manipulate probably comes from the same place that hers did.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Even if it is kind of a normal human, attribute.
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, so I'm not quite sure where to take the rest of this conversation.
I need to blow my nose. I'm sorry. Give me
Oh
1
no.
second. I haven't had this problem for a while.
If there's a sort of an editing I can do to make it a windstorm, we'll do that while you're blowing your nose.
Well, I can also mute, so hang on.
Oh no, she's muting. We're such a mess. 3 old ladies trying to do a podcast with all their aches, pains, and problems. We're just being real. Yeah.
I don't know where to take this conversation either.
We're in the middle of allergy season, so my voice gets a little froggy.
Yeah, my nose. I haven't had too many allergies yet, but they're starting to show up. Where to take this conversation? That's a very good question. I don't know. I think I did spend a lot of time in my younger years comparing myself to our mother, trying to tell myself that I wasn't her. Because I was terrified of becoming her a lot. Like, it was a pretty kind of an obsession in my early to mid 20s, when I still lived at home, especially. Like, I think that's what the whole, like, proving our mother wrong thing has turned into. It's turned into that. I was so terrified of becoming her that I systematically would just be like reassuring myself I'm not her. And trying to, like, tell myself it's okay, you're not like her at all. Which I am to some degree, but
yeah, so maybe another aspect of we could have been her is this thing where we're too afraid of being her.
Yeah.
Like, I got pregnant when I was 19 with my oldest.
Mm-hmm.
And when he was born, I'm going to assume a natural motherly instinct came up that you're supposed to have when you have babies
Mm-hmm.
or children, however you get children, whether it's adoption or whatever. There's supposed to at some point be a sense of motherliness that comes up. And right. I knew enough by then to feel like the motherliness part made me go, I don't want to do that to my child.
Mm-hmm.
And, I can't say that my parenting with my first one especially was perfect. I mean, it's been difficult. It's been difficult to raise children given my past and fight the urges that I might have when I'm frustrated or, whatever. Parenting isn't easy. You're trying to raise human beings who basically want to ruin everything and ruin their lives and kill themselves.
Right. Yeah.
That they want to, like, do everything but stay alive.
Mm.
They want to get into things and do things that are bad for them. We have to teach kids how to be good.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to do if you're just a normal person.
Right.
Let alone be fighting all the other stuff that exhausts you and creates enormous amounts of frustration beyond what's normal. It's tough to do. So, and both of my boys have had challenges which is added to
Mm-hmm.
which is added to everything. Um, and but despite the frustration, despite how difficult it was, despite how I felt, despite everything, I still didn't want to do that to my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's probably what turns the tide in when someone in a generation decides enough is enough. They can
Yeah.
actually see things for what they are, and they do not want to do that to their kids
Yeah.
or who they love or care about. Because maybe they don't have kids, but it doesn't have to be pointed at your kids. It could be pointed at your spouse, your siblings, your friends, the groups you're in. It doesn't matter really.
Right. Yeah, I never had kids, but I definitely thought to myself many times over the years, seeing things as they were and how cruelly we were treated. I don't want to be that. I don't want to treat anybody that way. I wouldn't want
Yeah,
anyone to suffer through that.
yeah,
And watching children be abused in public, which isn't as intense, but I can't imagine what's going on behind closed doors from what I've seen in public before. And I
yeah.
just think to myself, my gosh, that poor child, I don't know what they're going through, but I know it's got to be rough if that's happening out here, I can't imagine what's happening behind closed doors.
Right.
And I think before I became a Christian, even before, like I said earlier, even before I became a Christian, I could not fathom hurting someone that way.
My phone's still going off. Sorry.
Well, not technical difficulties, but
No, it's not technical difficulties. It's more like just my phone trying to tell my phone's telling me things about my blood sugar.
it's
And it
saying
keeps going
hello.
off. I thought I
Silenced it.
silenced it, but no, it keeps going off. Sorry. Sorry.
It's okay.
I'm not Canadian. Sorry.
Sorty. We're still saying it anyway. Sorty. Sorty.
Sorry. Sorry, Canadians. We like the way you say sorry.
Yeah,
And the fact that you do.
a lot.
The two times I've been to Canada, especially the second time, people in Canada are actually that nice.
Yeah.
They really are.
A little Canadian rabbit trail there.
Yeah.
Maybe Eddie can put a little bunny with the Canadian flag right
Oh,
across the screen.
that reminds me.
Mm-hmm.
I said something about Canada to my husband while we
Mm-hmm.
were gone, and he goes, "Ah, you said that like you're from Newcastle County." I was like, "I did." He goes, "Yeah." I'm like, I didn't know that people from Newcastle County said Canada that way. Canada.
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 Canada. That's funny.
I said, well, I have lived here long enough
Yeah.
for the accent to infiltrate my multi-accented way of speaking.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. Anyway, back in the discussion. Little aside there. I think part of we could have been her is just being grateful that we're not
Yes, absolutely.
and recognizing what and I'm still figuring out where things went wrong, like what she did that was bad and how it affected me negatively
Mm-hmm.
and whether or not I do the same things. But I'm very glad that I did my best, not perfectly, because nobody's a perfect parent. If that
Right.
person exists, I don't know who they are. God maybe be the only one we can call a perfect parent.
Right.
But I'm hoping that I did as best I could at the time. Hopefully, that was good enough. I mean, there were some issues with my oldest that had nothing to do with me, but I was blamed for them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Whatever. At any rate, so I am thankful that I feel like we're kind of meandering all around. Are we meandering around?
I think so. I think there's not a lot in this one.
There's just not a lot to say.
Yeah.
Kids, don't do drugs. Bye. I'm kidding. Sorry.
I mean, not wrong, but there's just not a lot here. I think it's
I
Uh,
expected that there would be more to this conversation.
mhm.
We could have been her. Well, it's kind of obvious we're not, and we chose not to be, and that's pretty much the end of it.
Yeah.
That's all there is
I
to
guess
say.
I guess we decided to not be her for the reasons like compassion and caring about people and not being a narcissist if she was one, which we're, kind of,
Being caring,
yeah.
not trying to manipulate people to be the perfect whatever. Actually being interested and enjoying people,
Mhm.
interested in what they're doing, enjoying the people. Like my son, my youngest son is very uh quirky.
He is.
And he says some really oddball off the wall things pretty frequently. It's kind of like I don't know what you would call it. A kind of like vocal stimming.
Mhm.
He just sort of says things,
Yeah.
and then he looks at me, and I'm like, but I totally enjoy it, because I have no idea
Mhm.
what he's talking about most of the time. He has quirky ways about him. Like when we do shopping every 2 weeks to the grocery store, and we have an app that we use as a family. And whoever's not going to the store puts in requests in this grocery list app, and he has set up his own things that he puts in there that have nothing to do with groceries.
Right.
And I enjoy it's so funny and quirky and completely useless and unhelpful, but I find it really adorable and funny.
Mhm.
And I complain if he doesn't put it in there. I'm like, it's just not a shopping trip if you don't put the SCP-096 in there, or one hair from the head of Jeff Goldblum. Like, those are the kinds of things. Skinless,
Yes.
skinless, skinless,
Boneless
boneless, meatless,
chickenless chicken
chickenless,
thighs.
chicken thighs.
Boneless skinless Albanian
What?
thighs.
Air? You want air?
Blood of a dark god, the child.
Yeah, who's the child? Like, that's just really, I just enjoy that so much. And I feel like
Mhm.
our mother did not do that with us.
No, there was never any play or any fun. I mean, there were, but it was never with her.
Yeah.
Like, there was never moments of like,
It was just you and I, Rochelle.
yep.
We had our own thing going on.
Occasionally our stepfather, but usually it was just you and I
Yeah.
creating our own fun and trying
Or I
to.
was tormenting Marcia. I enjoyed tormenting
Or me.
Marcia.
He tormented me too a bit
I still
sometimes.
do that.
That's true.
I still torment you a
But
lot.
all love. But the point we're making is that there wasn't any relationship going on.
Right.
And I think that's, for me, that's one of the things that kind of hurts the most, because like I said, it's heartbreaking to say I feel like I never actually belonged to our mother. I was never
Yeah.
actually her child.
Right.
And belonging is really important, as I'm learning, as I'm trying to manage, not, I don't say overcome, but manage my proclivity for isolation, is lost my train of thought.
Choo choo. I
Learn,
found it.
learning to enjoy people, like you were saying, learning to be in relationship and actually have fun together, but also be friends, aside from being relatives. Like, that never happened. There was no
No.
nurturing going on. There was no nothing. It's really heartbreaking to say, but it is true. And like I said, I didn't have children, but I did have a bad marriage. But like, now, living with Stephanie and Fran and her husband and her son, like, we have that family fun dynamic going on. We tease each other. We laugh a lot. We help each other. Like, it's there and it exists. And when I was a kid, I really believed I would never have that with anybody. Like, it was because you don't really know what's going to happen when you grow up.
Right.
And I think missing that as a child is so heartbreaking and so difficult, because there's no joy, there's no trust.
Right.
And there's so many things that could have happened that didn't, thankfully. And I think
Wait, what do you mean by that? Things that could have happened but didn't,
we could have been
thankfully?
estranged for the rest of our lives. We could have never come
Oh,
together.
you and me?
Yeah, and been a family. Like, I mean, for years, I still struggle with isolation. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't arrived or healed myself, been healed of that or anything. But I'm learning what it means to actually be part of a family after all this time. And what that actually means is you trust each other, you care about each other, you work together to keep the house going, and you just are engaged in conversations and whatever's happening. I mean, it seems simple now. It wasn't so simple 2 years ago, a year ago, or whatever.
Right,
Um, I would never have had that if I was like our mother, if I was her, as it were. I'd
right.
probably be very, very alone. So, um, I don't know if this, I don't know if this directly relates to what we're talking about, but I told my therapist today that if our mother was still, and it sounds kind of cruel on the surface, but there's reason for it. If our mother was still alive today, I would not feel inclined to help her if she was elderly and in need of care, because she didn't help me throughout my life. So why would I help her? And that's sounds harsh to say, but
Yeah, it's tough. Like, yeah, there's a lot of emphasis in society about, your family, you stick together.
mm,
You don't always have to like the other people in your family, but they're your blood, But I think those rules go out the window when lots of lines have been crossed,
yeah,
abuse has happened, and I don't feel like even if she were still alive, we're in any way obligated to help
right,
necessarily. Now, if we did decide to help her, it would be difficult, I think.
yeah,
Um, we would have to have the ability to just not be affected by anything she said or did at all.
right.
Like our
Which,
pastor talks about his dad, sounds kind of similar in some
mm-hmm,
ways
mm-hmm,
to our situation, maybe not to the extent that we experienced, but he took care of his dad up to the end. Um, but he found a way to do it. Like it's not I don't think the idea is impossible. It's just not something I'd prefer,
yeah,
and definitely would struggle with because I guess I'd have to treat it like I'm a nurse and she's a patient in the sense of just sort of having this distance,
mm-hmm,
not being like emotionally involved.
yeah,
Um, in order to make it work, because I can't imagine myself. I think it would be hard because was mostly scared of her.
right,
Um, yeah, I think a lot of healing would need to occur before I can even consider doing something like that.
yeah, yeah. And that's a cold thing to think on the surface, but it's just how it feels.
Is it cold or is it practical?
Probably more practical. I'm saying on the surface it sounds cold, but
It's
underneath there's
yeah, yeah. If you don't have context, it does sound kind of mean
yeah,
to say that out loud, but I don't know. If you put that flashes to mind our mother's best friend. I won't say her name, but I called her after our mother died and asked her a question related to what to do with her mother's ashes, and she tore into me
me
about
too.
how I was such a bad daughter
Mm-hmm.
because I wouldn't have anything to do with her mother, and how dare I treat her like that. Like a lot of people felt really sorry for our mother,
Oh yeah,
that we were just these terrible people and we just treated her so badly.
she did the same thing to me, her best friend.
And I had said to this person, I was like, well, so and so, unless you've walked a mile in my shoes, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yep.
And
I
I haven't
yeah,
talked to her since. I don't know if she's still alive.
yeah. I don't know either, but I told her that her mother was an addict and an abuser, so I have nothing like to feel bad about.
Yeah, like
But I don't think she believed me.
I don't understand how she got so much sympathy
I don't either.
from that person, from other people that she knew. Like, how did she convince them that she was such a victim?
Well, they did. Her best friend didn't live here, as we know.
Yeah, but
They
it
live
was still
miles away
going
from each
on when
other.
we were out there in California.
True.
It's not like it was not happening then. It was happening then, but it just got worse over time.
Right.
The addiction part was happening for sure, because our uncles told us that.
Mm-hmm.
There was definitely drinking going on at an early age.
Right.
There was definitely affairs going on while she was
Mm-hmm.
married to her father. Like, this best friend of hers knew all that, but somehow she still had sympathy for her
I know.
and not for us. I think I'm a little bit tweaked by that. I
Yeah.
don't know. So, I don't know. I don't know if there's much more to say on this. It's only been about 45 minutes, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
What are we going to do?
Yeah.
So, I think the overarching message that I would want people to know is just because your parent was a certain way, it doesn't mean you have to be.
Right.
You can choose to do something else. You can choose to live a different life. You can choose to heal from the wounds. You can choose to overcome the difficulties that was handed to you, to change the pattern of your family, to not pass it on to your own children, or at least lessen the impact as much as you can. I'm hoping that if my youngest, even my oldest, decides to get married at some point, that that their family life will be far better than mine was.
Right.
So, just choose better. You can. You don't have to perpetuate this.
Yeah.
You don't have to be your father or your mother. You can be your own person. You can choose.
Aren't doomed to repeat.
You aren't doomed. No. Now, Richelle and I talked about how we had God pulling us out of the path. If you're not a Christian, then that might be different for you. But I don't know how to say this. Even people who don't believe in God can still choose to not participate.
Yeah.
I think that's just true. It doesn't take necessarily an act of God for you to choose a different path.
Right.
Because you
can
have
still choose it regardless.
You're an adult, you have free will.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just choose something different, live a different life, do better, heal, move on, do what you got to do to make things better for yourself.
Yep, I agree.
I think that's pretty much all I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. There isn't much to this one, but did our best.
It's okay. It's okay. Not all of them could be a home run.
True.
So I'm okay with that. But next week we're going to be back with Evelyn. We're going to start a new series about what it's like to live daily with chronic CPTSD, depression, anxiety, shame,
all that,
catastrophizing, panic, all the things. And we're going to talk in detail about it.
Mm-hmm.
We're calling it Life Interrupted because we're constantly being interrupted.
Yes. Your life kind of revolves around it. So
I think we've managed to chunk that into 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then after that, we're going to start a whole new thing. But we got to do some research and make sure we're on the right track, because that's a little bit. The next topic after this one is going to be a little bit of a sensitive thing. And because I've seen online how people react to certain sensitive topics, we need to we can't please everyone, but we do need to do our due diligence.
Yes.
And I'm not saying what it is yet. Yeah. But I am kind of interested to see where we go with this whole idea of what's it like to live a daily life with all these things going on. And my therapist was asking me today, because we were trying to talk about what triggers the binging. And he's like, well, what is the let's see if I can remember what words he used. What creates the vulnerabilities, he said. And I was thinking, what does he mean? I don't understand what he means. And so we're just talking. and he's trying to explain it, and I'm thinking to myself, well, it's my entire life.
Right. It kind of revolves around this.
PTSD, the trauma.
Yeah.
That's what's creating vulnerability. That's what's pushing, and it's so complex.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like all, I was trying to describe for him what it was like to live with this all day, every day, just on and on and on. Like, I'm never calm.
Right.
I look calm, but I don't feel calm.
Yeah.
For example. Anyway, yeah, so we're going to be doing that. Please like, share, and subscribe.
Yes, please.
If you find this valuable, we appreciate you sharing it, subscribing to our YouTube or Spotify, sharing it with your friends, passing it along. I know this is tough, deep stuff, but it's worth doing.
Yep.
Absolutely worth doing. So, and our goal is to encourage, empower, equip, and educate.
There you go.
Woo! And also encourage.
Yes.
I like that word. Encourage. Yeah, so if you think of someone that might benefit from this, please share it with them.
Yes, please do, because that's what we're here for. We want to help.
Absolutely. So I think that's all I have.
Same here.
Yeah, so I'm Stephanie Dunham.
I'm Richelle Knapp.
And I'm Evelyn Mason. See you next week, Das Woofanetter.
We're waiting. We're excited.
We're excited. All right. Have a good whatever.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope you got some food for thought and encouragement to keep going and keep growing. See you next time. For more episodes, you can find us on Spotify and YouTube. Comment, like, and subscribe to spread the word and help the channel grow.